Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Let's get you out of here, Buzz.
Don't you get it? You see the hat? I am Mrs. Nesbit. Snap out of it, Buzz.
Look what I got. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. And guess what's inside it?
Taking my life, Usul. It is the only way.
I'm pointing the way.
I've really got to get you out of those clothes
Excuse me?
and into a black dress. Tell me, Doctor, do you like the circus?
Welcome back to another episode of your mom's favorite podcast, Get a Load of This Movie, a franchise movie podcast where we talk about movies that moms just can't get enough of and we just love to chit-chat about, don't we? We are continuing a franchise because mainly what we do is we cover franchises with some breaks here and there, but we are continuing a franchise. And it is just a 2-movie installment, even though the franchise is much longer than that. We are doing the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton, Batmans, and we are continuing that from Batman 1989 to Batman Returns 92. Is that right?
Yes,
Cole?
yes,
yeah,
Corey.
that's right. So really look forward to talking about that. And you know what? My fearless co-hosts Zach and Cole, please say hi, both of you guys. And Cole,
Hey,
you can
what's
say hi.
up? It's
Yeah, you can
Cole
say, hey,
here.
what's up? Go. And then
I'm
Zach,
Zach.
do you want to say? Yeah,
I hate when he does.
Our fearless podcast co-hosts. We have a very exciting episode. Do you know why we have a very exciting episode, Cole? That's
Because
right.
we have a guest.
We have a guest, Cole. That is 100% correct.
Could've
Sam,
let me
welcome
answer.
back to the podcast. Everyone gives Sam a
Sam
round of
Hostel
applause.
back on the pod. Sam Hostel, everyone.
A round
Thank
of
you very
applause
much,
for
gentlemen.
Sam.
You welcomed me about 10 minutes earlier this time around compared to the last time I was on your show.
You know what? We
Oh,
get
yeah.
better at podcasting every single episode.
That was
You know what's
pretty
crazy?
funny, though.
You know what's cool about this guest in particular is he is officially the only one of us who was actually living and breathing on this earth when this movie came out, though he was but just a little
Whoa.
1-year-old boy.
just a lad.
Just imagine me, a
little
little
lad.
one-year-old boy
differentiation.
lining up to see this movie.
Sam,
With
can you
my
paint us
little
a
Batman
picture?
Returns.
Sam, can you paint us a picture of what the world was like in 1992, from your perspective, at least?
Well, that was right after I fell off the bed and cracked my head.
I've heard this story.
Parents had to take me to the ER, so...
No more
I
monkeys.
assume your
jumping in
dad
bed.
was watching you at this point in time.
Oh, the pain.
Oh, the pain. Well, you
Life
know what?
was
We won't
great
make you.
back then, boys.
Oh, it sounds like it. And life's pretty good now. You're a betrothed man. If that's, I don't know if that. Actually, you had just
I
become
believe
betrothed.
it's to be betrothed.
I
He
think-
is
I think last
technically
time we
not
had we made-
betrothed yet.
We made this announcement last time, but it is still going, which is great news. You know, that's not always a given in today's society, but it's still going, and very, very excited. I received your save the date, and Sam, I wanted to say this. I think I texted you about this. They look incredible. You made them
Oh,
yourself.
thank
Is
you
that correct?
so much. I did indeed.
Hey,
They look.
Oh,
Hey,
get
I
the F out of here.
No, they look really, really cool. I was very impressed. When I opened, I knew you were making it yourself because I asked you
That's
to
why
do
it was about
something else
2
for
months
me.
later than it was supposed to be.
Oh, but no, that's okay. It came just on time, as
I
we
think
all do.
Sam asked me for my address like he said 2 months ago. And then he was like, I was supposed to get this done probably 3 weeks ago when he asked me for my address too.
That's so funny, Cole, that you share that because when we all went bowling this weekend, you left when we were supposed to start. Actually, after, I believe. So
yes,
it's
I
really,
was
really
late
rich
to
coming from
bowling.
Sam, let me step in Cole's defense. In his defense, he did.
I was
we
eating.
only told him the time twice beforehand, and when I said, "Wow, you're only leaving now," he said, "I was eating." Which was, of course, a totally legitimate excuse that just made total sense.
Well, you know what? You know what else was a totally legitimate excuse? I don't know,
Batman
but we're talking
Returns?
about Batman Returns. So we're going to get into that with our first section of the day, the call sheets.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game. There is only one key to open the device. It's in the stomach of your dead cellmate. You better hurry up. Live or die. Make your choice.
I was trying to think like
play a game.
I was trying to think of like,
Yeah.
oh, it was worthy pushing Michelle Pfeiffer out of that window. I don't know, she knew too much.
I'm also going to add to the, just while we were on that brief topic, Cole also thought it was funny to yell, "Oh no," while I was bowling, as I was mid-stride in the middle of a very good game. Luckily, I recovered and picked up the spare, but I was not happy with Cole.
Zach, I don't know about you, but that sounds kind of hilarious. Is that right?
It was very funny. He came back very flustered, and then I walked up and I go, and every time I would just say, "Gutter ball."
Oh,
Sam, did
that's a
everyone
Sunny
laugh?
reference.
Paint us a picture, Sam.
Of
From
what?
your- from
Of
your
when Cole
perspective.
said that while Zach was bowling?
No,
I
that's
don't think
okay.
I've ever seen my brother see redder than he did that moment.
The whole bowling alley cheered, and they put Cole on his shoulders, and they said, "Hip hip, hooray!"
He's a jolly
Well,
good rookie.
Yeah, they
We
put
have
the
an
donut around him.
exciting call sheet. We have our classic 4 questions and a bonus question. And of course, the bonus question is closest to the
quick.
pin. So we are looking for a number. So I have 4 questions. You guys are going to text me your answers individually. And then at the end, we're going to go through them and see who won. Sam, this season, we are doing something different where we are tracking who wins and who loses. So you could be in rare company with Cole right now of having 100% win percentage. Right now, Cole is 3-0. Zach is 0-2, and I am 0-1. So Sam, after this, you could be 100% win percentage with Cole. But then Cole won't be in 100% win percentage. Oh, I didn't think about this. Whoa. Someone's win streak is coming to an end. Whether that's Cole's or Sam's, we don't know. But are you guys ready for the first question?
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of hullabaloo that people raise these days, but during the 1992 filming of Batman, 1991, I guess, but then the filming of the 1992 Batman Returns, what group protested this movie because of rumors of on-set mistreatment? What group protested this movie because of the rumors of on-set mistreatment?
I believe his name was
Okay.
Anton.
I have an answer from each of you. On to question number 2. Penguin is a weird guy, as we can see clear as day. It makes you wonder, where are they keeping these people, What is the name of the place where Penguin lives in the zoo? What is the name of the place where Penguin lives in the zoo?
I think I got this one wrong.
I think I have one of the words right.
I have an answer from each of you. We're moving on to question number 3. Penguin has a lot of plans to get back at Batman, and he has plans to touch every woman he sees. What does he say his plan is for the Batmobile? What does he say his plan is for the Batmobile? What does he say his plans are for the Batmobile? What does he say his plans are for the Batmobile? I am waiting for an answer from Sam. Oh, there it came through. I have an answer from each of you. Moving on to question number 4, last question before the bonus. Tim Burton is nothing if not consistent. I mean, one of the biggest parts of the last Batman movie that we talked about was how we could tell a Tim Burton movie just from one shot. That artistic style is there in every single one of his movies. Not only is he consistent with art, though, he is consistent, or he works with a lot of the same actors. Name another Tim Burton movie that Danny DeVito is in. You will get a point for each correct movie you send in.
Oh.
The answer cannot be Batman Returns. I said another movie.
So do you want us to name more than one?
You can name as many as you can think of.
Well, but I think you should demerit someone for naming one that he's not in, or else I can just name you all the Tim Burton movies, and then hopefully he's in. You know what I mean? I think you got to be.
I
sure.
agree with that.
Okay.
That's fair.
You should have the list of movies he's in. So if someone says one that's not, it won't be hard for you to identify it as like lie.
I know, but usually for wrong answers, I don't take away.
I know, but
points.
I'm doing this to police myself because I could just rattle off like a bunch of movies.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
How about this? There are 4. You can only name 4
Including?
movies.
Oh, okay.
4 outside of this, you said.
4 outside of this. You
I
can only
can't
name
think of 2.
4. I have an answer
3.
from Cole.
I 3.
I do not have an answer from Zach or Sam before we get into the bonus. I think we might need the bonus. Let me check.
I got all 4.
No. No, you don't.
Oh, and I bet I know which one Sam forgot.
I bet you it's not the one that you're thinking of.
Sam,
I
did you
wanna
send
guess
your
that.
answer?
I bet
I'm still
you.
waiting on
I'm
it.
setting it. I'm giving up on the fourth one.
Okay, so after 4, it is a very, very close race. We do have a winner, but we're going to do the bonus one and then go through the answers. Bonus question, we're looking for closest to the pin. This is a number. We're looking for a number. This is not Tim Burton's most popular movie on Letterboxd, believe it or not. Of the 32 films that Burton is credited with directing on Letterboxd, what place is Batman Returns on that list? What place is Batman Returns on that list?
And this is in regards to rating
or
how
Letterboxd popularity.
So more often rated. Got it.
Yes, more
Okay.
often rated. I have an answer from Cole.
I just
have an answer from
remembered
Zach.
the one of the Danny DeVito movies I forgot.
I have an answer from Sam. Okay, we do have a winner, so the bonus, you guys are all around the same answer, so I think there would be a clear winner with that one, but it doesn't matter. So we're going to go through the questions really quick and see who our winner is. What group protested this movie because of rumors of on-set mistreatment? You guys all got this one correct. Our guest, Sam, what was the answer?
That would be PETA.
That is PETA.
PETA.
Because of the
They marry
penguins.
llamas.
Because of the penguins, but apparently Michelle Pfeiffer also actually had a bird in her mouth during that shot. So I feel like that they just didn't know about that one.
No, they marry llamas, is what he said.
Question number 2.
South Park, Zach.
So that's a point for each of you. On the question number 2, Penguin is a weird guy, as we can see clear as day. It makes you wonder, where are they keeping these people? What is the name of the place where Penguin lives in the zoo? Only one of you got this correct. Cole, what did you say?
Or Wonderland.
Zach, what did you say?
Arctic Zone.
And Sam, what did you say?
Arctic World.
And the answer is Arctic World. Sam's in the
Yeah.
lead, 2-1-1. On to question number 3. Penguin has lots of plans to get back at the Batman, and he has plans to touch every woman he sees. What does he say his plan is for the Batmobile? He does something different. He takes it over and he controls it like a toy race car, but he says his plan is something very different. Cole, what was your answer?
I said, don't know.
Didn't know. Sam, what was your answer?
I don't know if I want to say it out loud.
Yep. Well, you sent it in, so.
I said French flipper D's nuts.
Wow, I hope your employer doesn't hear that. Zach, what did you say?
Turn it into an H-bomb on wheels.
That is correct. So Sam and Zach are tied in the lead with 2 points apiece.
Watch the movie, Sam.
So that is two points apiece for Sam and Zach. Cole is right behind them with 1, and we are on to question number 3, where it separates the boys from the men here. That's what really happens in this question, where we can have multiple points, 4 possible points. But Tim Burton is nothing if not consistent. He talked about his art style, but how many movies has Danny DeVito been in that Tim Burton directed? I said there were 4. Cole, you sent me in 2. Which 2 did you say?
I said Big Fish and Dumbo, and then as we were talking, I remembered the third.
Both of those are correct, so you were up to 3 points. Sam, what 3 did you send in?
I had those 2, and then I had Beetlejuice.
That is also correct. So you have the 2 points plus these 3, so that brings you up to 5 points. And then Zach, you sent in 4 movies. What was the one that they both missed?
Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
I've never seen Mars Attacks.
That one.
You had 2 points. You got all 4. You moved up to 6 points. So that is a win for Zach. But let's go through the bonus to see who got the most points there. This is not Tim Burton's most popular movie on Letterboxd, of course. But of the 32 films that Burton is credited with directing on Letterboxd, what place is Batman Returns on that list? Zach and Cole, you both said 6th place on that list, and Sam, you said 8. The correct answer was 12th. This was 12th place on the list.
Wow.
Go check that out. I know. I was also pretty surprised. I had to sort it a few times to make sure that it was like, this is by popularity, but it was pretty surprising.
Some of the films that were ahead of this? Because I'm
Let me
just
look.
kind of curious.
I think I can. You know what? Sure.
This is just out of curiosity.
Director by popularity. We had Corpse Bride, of course, Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice.
That is a good one.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice was more popular than this.
Well,
I was kind of
yes, the
surprised
new
by
one,
that.
yeah.
I know, but I figured, I don't know, Alice in Wonderland, Big Fish, Batman, the Home for Peculiar Children one. I don't
Miss
know. What's her name.
Peregrine.
Yes. Sweeney Todd, then Sleepy Hollow.
I am
Nice.
shocked that Big Fish and Sweeney Todd have been viewed more than
I
Batman
was
Returns.
also shocked. I was shocked by Sleepy Hollow, Sweeney Todd, and The Peculiar Children. Those three kind of surprised me. I haven't seen Big Fish, so I don't really know about that
Peculiar
one.
Children
Damn
is
good film.
Big Fish is definitely like, I really like the movie. I don't know if I like it more than this, but I really like the movie.
Well, say it's not about like what we like more. It's just like what's
Rewatch
when it's popular,
value.
well, it's it's probably how many people are watching it to begin with, and that's why I'm not shocked by Beetlejuice, because that was a big movie that made a lot of money and it only came out like 2 years ago. So, I mean that I assume that would be like in top 3 of most seen, just because now everyone has a
Catherine O'Hara
letterbox.
death bump.
Yeah.
Oh, I
and-
guess that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, congratulations, Zach. You have broken your
What
streak
death
of
bump?
winless games, and you are now on the board with one. Zach is not too concerned, though. Cole, you are still very much in the lead. But on to the action.
Even the opening scene, there's always some random girl who gets a call that undoubtedly ends up getting her killed. It's also predictable. There's no element of surprise. You can see everything coming.
Did that surprise you?
Why?
Because you talk too much. Now shut the fuck up and watch the movie.
Cole,
What happens?
I
'Cause you
watched
didn't
this
watch?
movie and then I
Yeah, what
ran
if you-
into a wall head first, so I forgot everything that happened in this movie. So can you summarize what happened in this movie?
Corey, I would like a new joke each time. You always go, I didn't watch the movie. What happened? I want something similar to, also known as,
Oh,
our house is on fire and we gotta get out and grab the kids. So
Well-
what happens in this movie? Sorry. it
question
looks-
for you.
What?
Was the joke I made on par with what you're expecting moving forward?
A little, yeah.
But not quite. I'll figure something out. I keep testing the waters.
So
I'm
what
proud of you.
happens in this movie? In Gotham City, wealthy parents abandon their deformed son, Oswald Cobblepot, in the sewers, where he is raised by penguins.
Don't say it like that.
33 years later, Oswald, now known as the Penguin, leads the Red Triangle gang and blackmails corrupt businessman Max Schreck to help him enter Gotham's elite society. Max stages a fake kidnapping of the mayor's baby so the Penguin can rescue the child and become a public hero, gaining access to Gotham's birth records. Max tries to kill his secretary, Selena Kyle, after she uncovers his secret plan to build a power plant that will steal Gotham's electricity. Selena survives and reinvents herself as the Catwoman. Wow. Becoming more confident and catching the attention of billionaire Bruce Wayne. As Batman, Bruce investigates the Penguin, while Max pushes Penguin to run for mayor. Chaos erupts as the Red Triangle gang terrorizes the city. Penguin frames Batman for the murder of the Ice Princess during a Christmas ceremony, damaging Batman's reputation. Batman exposes Penguin's true hatred for Gotham by playing a recorded rant at a mayoral rally, ruining his campaign and driving him back to the zoo. Penguin plots revenge by targeting Gotham's firstborn sons and later unleashes a missile-armed Penguin army. But God, I forget. It's just so great. But Batman and Alfred stop the attack. In the final confrontation, Catwoman kills Max in an act of revenge. Penguin dies from his injuries, and though Bruce believes Selina is gone, she survives as Catwoman while the bat signal shines over Gotham.
Oh,
So I had something I
is it
wanted
the
to
movie?
talk about. Yes.
He didn't
But-
watch
It
it.
is.
But I told Sam before he came on that Corey's review of 89 was a little low, by our standards. I just wanted to get the feelings out of the way,
Cole, you
really
stifle
quick.
conflict. You poke bears.
You know, Cole, I
I'm an
thought long and hard
instigator.
about this, and you know what? I think Corey is welcome to have any opinion
long and hard
he
about
wants about the movie. And while I may disagree with him, I appreciate that he puts in the effort to care.
I
Cole-
knew a butt was
Cole,
coming.
would
I
you
knew a
Having
butt was
said that,
coming.
having said that, I did bitch to
Knew it.
Zach a lot when I was listening to your podcast.
Would you guys
Oh, there he goes.
prefer if I were to rate every movie 5 stars because I was able to finish it?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
No.
Of course not. Of course not. Right. I'm silly.
I would just
I'm
prefer
silly.
you to have better opinions.
I feel like I justified my opinion well enough in the last one. I talked about it for 2 goddamn hours. I mean, if I could talk about why I feel a certain way for 2 hours, I think I'm pretty articulate in what I say and what I think.
Why don't you like grown men hanging like bats from racks in their closet?
What are we doing? All the blood's
Dude,
going to
that
rush to
scene
your
is
head.
so great. That
I will
shot,
say-
it's just so great. Imagine being Kim Basinger in that moment. Like, imagine, like, I just slept with this guy, and then he's like hanging out like a bat in the corner of the bedroom.
I will say it prepared me for this movie because boy does it not stop there. You know, like the Batman is like the craziest character in a movie that has Jack Nicholson, sorry, not Jack Nicholson.
He ain't no golfer.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson as the Joker, a crazy Joker. That like he is the most bat-like or animal beast-like there is in the movie is saying something. But when you have a movie full of animal affiliated characters, like you get hit time after time with the Penguin doing penguin things and the Catwoman doing Catwoman things, and it's all. I think I'll give myself a bath right now. And she licks
think
her entire arm.
Burton really plays up the fact that they are named after animals, and the fact that because of this, they are going to do animal things.
Yeah. Which, you know what? In the first one, I mentioned something about, and I was like, that was a bit odd. But you know what? I think it prepared me for this one because in this movie, I was able to move on from most of them. So you're welcome, America, because I did my homework and I educated myself, and I think that's very big of me. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. The thing I wanted to talk about is it just smacked me in the face in the middle of the movie while I was watching it. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I didn't see this. This movie, all the characters, their basic colors are like black, white. Batman has the yellow, but like basically all of them are like black and white, right?
Very monotone, yes.
Very, very monotone. And so that lends itself to being a very dark movie. As we see in the Batman, the one that came out 2022. It's that long ago already.
And we're not getting the sequel for 2 more Halloweens.
But in that movie, it's very, very dark, very, very monotone. And so you get a very dark movie. In this one, you get a very monotone set of characters and a very monotone city, but it feels very bright. You know, I'm never struggling to seeing what happens. And when I was watching the main fight, or not the main fight, it was probably the first fight between Catwoman and Batman, where she like gets him in the side, you know, where he walks away and like, he's like having to stitch himself up afterwards. But during that fight, they are like shiny almost. And you can like, it's never a question of where they are, what's going on, like how they're like, you can see everything clear as day, which I think is I really, really thought that was like impressive, I guess is the proper word for it, but like you don't really see that too often. And so I was wondering, like, how did you guys feel about like the artistic style of it is very like like a simple way of putting it, but like the color and how it popped, even though it was so monotone. Did you guys notice that at
I
all?
think that's something that the Christmas setting and the fact that the ground is covered in snow really helps because you are able to have these full black costumes and they pop off the screen. A lot of people complained. I thought it was really cool. Matt Reeves created this very dark, dismal version of Gotham. You're not really able to see Batman, which is kind of the point. The way Burton does this is that all these characters sort of pop on a white background.
But even when they're on the rooftops, they were able to do it. So I think you're right. I think you're right. But like, especially for a Christmas movie, I meant to say this too. Like for a Christmas movie being so monotone and like you're still able to like have those colors and see everything, I thought that was very impressive. And I wish they would do more movies like that. That's how I felt, at least.
Corey, there was a part to your point there, Corey. Like I had this in our notes like later, just when Cole was like, "Oh, like whenever we were going to talk about like the Christmas of it all," because I just kind of thought like Cole was saying that goes into the look of it. But it seems like since we're talking about it now, I'll say it now. There was I watched this movie twice. I watched it a few weeks ago, with Madeline. She hadn't seen it, and I watched it with her. And I was like, you know what? It's been a few weeks, and we're recording. I should probably at least kind of have it on in the background and kind of give it a refresher in my head before we talk about it. And I kind of had it on very casually in my apartment living room with the lights on, like doing work. My apartment was doing stuff in the kitchen. He went and did something and was gone. So I didn't feel bad about, standing up and be like, I'm going to turn off the lights. And so I turned off the lights because that's usually how I watch movies. And it just right away, the second I turned off the lights, I was just like, it just like hit me like how good this movie looks. And it was like,
yeah.
Like it was like a shot of like Catwoman. It was like Catwoman in costume with Batman, and I just remember just being like taken aback, almost just like how like the second I turned off all the other lights, just how sharp this movie looked. And that doesn't mean like like it's great detail, like it's coming through in like 4K. It just, but like you're saying, like there was no problem like distinguishing the characters. There was a real crispness to it. And I think it does come down to lighting. I think this movie looks even more Tim Burton-ish than the last movie does, and I think that goes into like creative control and all that. Is like he's not shot like handing this off to the Warner Brothers, boardrooms for them to kind of give their notes and chop it up a bit. At this point, he's already made the first one, which was a huge success, and then Edward Scissorhands, which is I don't know how big of a financial success that was, but that was at least a critical success. And so like I think part of his contract for this one was like creative control, and like this movie looks even more Tim Burton-ish than the last one. And yeah, I'm just kind of stunned by the look of it to the point that I have a hot take, but I'm gonna save it for a second because Sam wants to say something.
Zach,
Well, what I was going, go ahead.
Add something really quick. Edward Scissorhands did quadruple its budget, $86 million on $20 million. But Sam, go ahead.
That's a fine
well,
Jack. A fine.
I was going to just say, I think he is making this movie at his most confident like level as a filmmaker. You get to do that when the original 1989 Batman at the time was one of the most successful movie releases in cinema history. Now, granted, like every big movie that comes out today is a failure if it doesn't reach $1 billion, but the original Batman movie was in the multiple hundreds of millions. So I think that gave him the runway, as you were saying. The studio gave him full control. And what I appreciate about this is definitely Gotham at its most beautiful in any iteration. And yet the undercurrent like take on its characters, it might be Gotham at its most monstrous. The Penguin is a vile person, but I mean, it's not just him. It's the entire corrupt aspect of the city. Even if it's presented to us in kind of simple terms. I mean, when you hear them discuss the power plant, it is one of the most cringy scenes of dialogue.
You don't
but
mean
like, I do. But you know what? I still love the movie because the movie is not about Chip getting his money. It's not about Chip making the money in this power thing, this power plant that actually sucks up the power. No, this is the mover and shaker of the town. Continues from 1989. It's Max Schreck, and I think it's just like the perfect counterweight to how the movie looks. Looks great. but
on the briefest of side notes, since you brought up Chip, Sam and I always joked about how this guy shows up to do his like 2 scenes and was clearly told like do your best Christopher Walken impression, and that's like he's like clearly trying to do a Christopher Walken voice with his couple lines. Like go back and listen to his dad go save yourself line, and it's like, oh man, he's going for it.
Gosh,
there.
I didn't notice that.
Sam
toned out or zoned out whenever Chip was on screen.
He's a non-factor. But I'll tell you what movie he is a factor in. Or I'll let Sam guess
The
it, though.
remake. Say what movie?
So what? Wait, set this up again.
I was gonna set up a guessing game for Sam.
No,
Sam
Sam,
loves guessing games.
I was jumping to my notes anyway, so set it up again.
Sam, the actor who plays Chip. What horror villain did he play twice after this film? And I'll give you a clue. I don't think he has any lines in either of the films, but it's a horror villain you would be able to name.
Well, he is a big guy. So I'm going to go with either Michael Myers or Jason.
Well, you know who Michael Myers was Tyler Mane in the Rob Zombie films.
Oh,
if that's
yeah,
what you were thinking
you're right,
of.
you're right.
And Jason was played by a guy named Derek Mears. Is that right, Cole?
In the later one, yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know if Derek
Either way.
Mears played him.
Sam, you're close, but you're
Yeah.
off. It was Cole. Cole did give you a hint when he said remake. And you guessed 2 remakes, so fair enough. But it was Leatherface in the 2 Platinum Dunes Michael Bay Texas films from the early to mid aughts.
That was my
Corey.
next
Corey
choice.
knew that, of course. That's why I didn't ask him. Because he would have just gotten it right away.
Yeah, it would have been
so
a non sequitur.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
what that
But
means.
back to the main point of what we were talking about. All right. My hot take was, and I was thinking about this while watching it, because this is not an opinion I've held for a long time, but when I was just so flabbergasted by how good this movie looked when I watched it again. Is this the best a superhero movie has ever looked? And the only thing I could come up with, and it feels like it should be a different conversation because it's a different medium, was maybe the Spider-Verse movies. But that would maybe be the only one I would say looks better than this movie. That's okay. Take your time.
I don't have
Well, I wasn't
an
prepared.
argument like to fight it with you because there are parts in the X-Men films where I'm like, oh my God, this looks really good because it exudes this like griminess that I love, and griminess can look really good. I think the look of X2 is phenomenal, is really good.
Maybe Ant-Man 3?
No, not Ant-Man 3. I mean, Richard Donner's Superman is
For what it
one
is,
that-
yes.
For what it is.
Actually, I was going to say
I mean,
Superman Returns is a very beautiful looking movie.
Sam, you have spoken to a Superman Returns convert. I rewatched it recently. I was I was at the point where I was like, oh, Brandon Routh, he's not a good Superman or whatever, and then I
are you saying that to?
rewatched it. The masses. I was agreeing with the masses.
When did you say that out loud? Ever? All right,
Zach.
that's fine. That's fine. Yes, Corey.
Zach,
Corey,
so I found a list because I was like, nothing is coming to mind right now besides Spider-Verse movies, but you mentioned those. So I looked up a list and I found a list by Collider. It's a top 10 most visually stunning superhero movies. I think that's basically what you're saying.
It's going
right?
to say like
Well,
Guardians of the Galaxy, right? It's going to say like Guardians of the
I
Galaxy.
think Watchmen might be on there.
Watchmen was one I thought of. Yes,
does
that was one I
look
thought of.
really good.
Watchmen is on
it's
this list.
distinct.
Watchmen is number 4 on this list. I will tell you what movie is not on this list. You ready for this?
Batman
What movie is
Dark
not on
Knights.
this list? Batman Returns is not on this list. But you do have Watchmen and you do have both the Spider-Verse movies. Can you guess, Zach, you were on the right track with number 2, and then we can go through the rest of this list.
I was on the right track with number 2.
You're on the right track when you said you gave a
I'm
guess.
guessing Guardians Volume 2.
That is correct. Guardians Volume 2 is the number 2 most visually.
It's a pretty
Visually, what was it
movie.
calling? What were they saying? Visually stunning. But then
They're
you have
thinking of like
Hellboy
bright
number,
colors. That's like this is how they're
Wait,
grading this.
Are they doing
you have
Hellboy,
Hellboy
the Golden
2 at
Oh,
number
the
10.
Golden Army is so good.
Batman vs Superman at number 9. Spider-Man 2 at number 8. Which, you know what? I guess we don't like. Sam Raimi Spider-Mans are pretty visually.
They look pretty good.
That's some of the
appealing,
coolest
stunning.
shots.
There's some choppy
I mean,
web swinging every now and then, but
the
or fight
pan,
scenes. But
the
then you have-
iconic pan through Doc Ock's sunglasses
Right,
is
the
probably
transitions in it,
one
yeah.
of the cleanest transitions.
Yeah,
in
the
a
cinematography
superhero
of that
film.
one, sure. Yeah, this is like the actual camera movements of it is pretty impressive. But I'm thinking of like just like set design, lighting, all that. That's what I mean when I'm talking about Batman.
Yeah, you have Logan at number 7.
Yeah.
You have Joker at number 6. Don't know if I agree with that. And then Thor Ragnarok at number 5, which I think they're getting back to like, ooh, bright colors. So I don't think they fully appreciate or got the list correct. I do think Watchmen would have been on mine though. We already went through that. Number 4 was Watchmen, 2 Spider-Verse, or Into the Spider-Verse, or 3 was Into the Spider-Verse, 2 Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and then number 1 Across the Spider-Verse. But it didn't have Batman Returns, so the list is void.
We have deemed it void.
We have deemed it void. I do want to talk about.
I want you to dox this person.
No, I'm not. We don't call out people we don't like besides Adam. I do want to talk about something since we were talking about visually appealing and visually like it looks great. Beyond the Town, I think the characters are all very interesting to look at. Beyond Batman, I think Batman, we talked about that in the first one. I like Batman's look. You have Catwoman played by Michelle Pfeiffer. She has a great look. And you have Danny DeVito as Oswald Cobblepot the Penguin, which he is very interesting to look at, is another interesting.
You're not bored
polite
looking
way
at
of
him.
putting right. And I think that's very intentional.
Yes.
I will say when you get in terms of him, the way they casted the Penguin, the way they designed the Penguin doesn't really fit with how the script talks about the Penguin too much. You know, it feels like you could have had a 6'5" larger guy in that same role. That's not too bad to look at, and it's basically that's kind of who they're talking to in this movie every single time.
Colin Farrell could have played the Penguin in 1992.
If you're looking at the way like those two penguins, those two iterations of penguins, it feels like they're actually Colin Farrell's still kind of like hard to look at, but that's purposeful, you know, like he's purposely supposed to be like this rugged gangster and like crime boss, and like this penguin is supposed to be like he's a comic book villain, but they like how the townspeople talk about him is something that I wanted to talk about because everyone just comes up to him and is just like, "You're an amazing, like you're so great, oh my gosh!" And he comes down in his underwear basically down the stairs. Everyone's just smiling and clapping for him.
They're referred to as Long Johns.
It doesn't matter. It's basically his undergarments, and he's in those for 90% of the movie, you know, and it's just those. And part of me was just like, that's a funny bit, but also is like, is this a bit or is this like actually how the town's starting to feel about him? Because they're like, he's getting momentum behind being mayor, and that's where it kind of takes a turn where it's like, okay, this isn't just a bit. Those aren't just people working for him. People are like engrossed by him. They're non-valid
Enamored.
arousal. You know, it's not. It doesn't make any sense why they're so like drawn to him. Why women are coming up to him, and like why he can touch that woman's chest and say, "Here's a button," and she could just sit there smiling. And it's kind of making a caricature out of the townspeople in a bit. And you know what I would have here last bit, and then Sam, I'll let you go. I would have really preferred it if we would have had like the townspeople be like, just like they were like the straight man of the movie, being like, what is going on? I am not voting for him, you know, because like, look at him. He is insane. He bit that guy's, like, if they were just so serious and just kind of like cold water on the hot bed of like activity that's going on in the Cobblepot storyline, you know, like I think that would have been so much
water
better.
On the hot bed. Oh, that's a good one.
So, what do you guys think about that?
I would like to gently push back on that assessment of the townspeople.
You could push back hard. I don't care. I can take it.
Just caress it on back, Sam.
I think what we're seeing, like
Here's
what you were
button.
talking about when he's pushing the button on, I think that is very much these people work for Max Schreck. He is the wealthy industrialist. He doesn't want the current mayor's administration to continue, so he is putting all of his movers and shakers and publicists behind this moment. So when they are receiving him like that in that moment, those are Shrek's people, or just people who are trying to play the game of politics and they want to get ahead of it. I think
I agree.
Townspeople that you see at the cemetery or in the street talking about him, supporting him at his speeches, I think those are people who are genuinely moved by the story of the Penguin, because outwardly he is a very sympathetic character. This is a guy who was, thrown out by his parents because of how horrifying and grotesque he is. Granted, his personality ends up matching that. Whether you want to say he was created or that's just who he is, that's maybe a different conversation. But with him, I think the townspeople reacts to him fairly, and I don't think it's over the top or anything like that. It all makes sense in my head.
I agree with that.
I would agree with Sam on this one. Like Max Schreck, and as we learn through different iterations of Gotham, these corrupt politicians, these people with money, they control the city. There's that great line in 2022's The Batman where it's like, Falcone's the mayor. Crime runs the city of Gotham. So naturally, whoever is in office is a puppet to someone like Shrek. So Shrek's going to do whatever he can to get him in office.
Well, except the current mayor isn't, though, and that's why he is trying to get Penguin to supplant him.
The Penguin.
And what's true is, in real life, people love a redemption story so much. So not only is he coming out of nowhere, like it's a beautiful story to these people. Like he saves the mayor's baby, and now he's able to rally support. But then they react just as genuinely, because I think people, more than redemption, they love a good fall from grace. So when he is revealed to be the villain that he is, I mean, yeah, you have your tomatoes ready because you don't know when that slip-up's coming.
Why do they always bring tomatoes and eggs to a speech?
That was one of my notes, is ask Corey if he liked that line. Because I think that's a big, if you either like that line or don't, and if you don't, then you might not be on board for a lot of what the movie is doing. Because once you ask that question, you might be like, well, why does he have a giant duck? And why do the penguins have rockets? And all these other questions.
So I was on board for that line. I think there are a few lines, and I try to write them down where I was like, I bet Zach is going to ask me how I felt about this line in particular, because I think I'm starting to pick up on them. Unlimited Poontang, that was one that I wrote down. I don't think that was one of them.
I had that lumped into a bunch of, like, there's so many lines like that.
Yeah.
Really just kind of lurid lines from the Penguin, like, oh, and you're the hottest young person a role model could have. Yeah, they're like, he's really, really horny, which I have don't worry, we're going to get into that later.
I have a whole point. He is quite detestable, which is kind of the point.
French flipper trick, as Sam made a joke of earlier as well.
He's got a great sense of humor. You got to give it to him. When you look like that, you've got to be funny.
I don't know if he is funny.
You have to disarm women with humor.
I don't think he's funny with the women. I think he's creepy with the women intentionally. So I think there are points where he is funny, though. For sure. Like when he shoots that clown, the clown who's like, is killing kids, isn't that a little? And then like he shoots him and goes, no, it's a lot.
Or the first line when you see him, I believe the word you're looking for is ah.
That's pretty.
You can play the actual sounder, Zach.
I like his.
Go ahead, Zach.
Reaction to. I like his reaction to Shrek. He's like, "Oh, by the way, like, how's your old business partner?" And like Shrek makes up the lie or whatever. He's like, "Oh, he's on extended vacation. He's good." And he's like laughing at his response. He's like, "Oh, extended vacation. Yeah, that's funny." I do enjoy. Yeah, he is a very funny character. Corey, were you still talking? I don't know. You were saying like, I thought you had more lines that you wanted to
Zach
bring up.
would be like.
Oh, well, I have a few lines, but I think I the point that you're making there is like you're either on board with this movie or you're not on board with this movie, and you could tell because there are key parts. The rubber ducky you said was one of them. Like those kind of lines are something on there. And I wrote down like, you know what, I'm in this movie, and after the first one and getting into this one, I feel like him having a rubber ducky and that's how he gets around. Once you're on board with that, I feel like there's a certain level that you kind of have to accept from the audience. And once you're on board with that, it feels like, okay, this is the movie we're in. I feel like we almost revert to trying to... we almost get like an origin story with Catwoman. So like it's basically how she was created, why she has a vendetta, and like her entire story is told in this movie from beginning to end. You know, she was just a receptionist. But it feels like they start answering questions that we don't necessarily need. Like it's not a lot but it was a small moment that I felt like I should have, like, I wanted to write down because I wanted to talk about it, because you do get those moments with Batman and his gadgets. You don't need to see how these gadgets are made, right? We just don't. We accept, we know the character. Yeah, we know the character. We can accept that he did that. We can accept that he paid someone to do that. We can accept that. When you have the umbrellas that turn into a helicopter, or the umbrellas that turn into a gun, like, you don't have to know, like, oh, where did he get that? You know, we could just accept, like, he's odd. He does all these weird things. He has resources because he's obviously built this army of not only penguins. How can he talk to penguins? You know, he's obviously has resources. We don't need to answer all these questions. And it feels like with Catwoman,
penguin translators.
With Catwoman, we're kind of reverting back to, not even reverting, because there's nothing really to revert back to. Where it's like we're like falling back to, let's explain her entire story and how she is where she is. I appreciate them explaining the motive, but, like, I don't know, we haven't really done an origin story in the Tim Burton Batmans up to this point, besides, like, the mystery that is, who is Bruce Wayne? How did Batman become Batman? And even then, a lot of the stones weren't unturned. How did you guys feel about that origin story? And do you feel like Tim Burton kind of went back on who he was, priming you a little bit here, and kind of held the audience's hand almost through that origin story?
I think it's just a standard character arc. I mean, here's the thing: is I think there's something to be said about, like, yeah, you're right with the penguin stuff. We're not over-explaining stuff, because the second you fall into over-explaining, you open yourself up for scrutiny and, like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, if we had to meet, like, the guy who built all of Penguin's umbrellas, I'd be like, just kill me. Like, just stop.
Right.
With Catwoman, I feel like her main thing is like, we're seeing what turned her into this just by that one scene. Or, well, I guess two scenes. She has that one scene with Shrek, and then we see her go home to her apartment, you know, which I have written down as, like, one of the, just a masterclass of exposition of, like, who this person is, just in a scene by herself in her apartment. And but I think it's really well done. Yeah, it's holding her hand through it, but it's not it's not her just delivering, here's who I am, to the camera. You know, like, you have these elements here. She's talking to a cat. Her answering machine does a lot of it. Just the way her apartment looks, and then the way she destroys it after. I know you like the I'm not married.
I went on vacation by myself.
Oh yeah, that's brutal. But I love the. I mean, but we're juxtaposing who she is beforehand and who she is after by recreating her coming back to her apartment, and just her reaction to everything in her apartment after she has literally been murdered by her boss that she's been, like, trying to please, and then he returns the favor by murdering her. I don't know. I don't think we're, like, over-explaining Catwoman. Here's the thing, and I say that specifically because one of my notes, Corey, it was on a similar topic, was that I'm glad we don't have to come out loud and really say what the hell happened with those cats when she, like, felt. I think it is just, we can just accept it as a something slightly super, or we don't. You could also read it as it's not supernatural. You could read it as she just survived by hitting those awnings, and then she woke up with a new look on life, and then she survived at the end by just not getting hit fatally with the bullets. And, like, her whole "I have 9 lives" thing was just her being, you know, tongue in cheek. You could look at it supernatural or not, and I like that the movie leaves that ambiguous enough. Cole looks like he has something more urgent, so I might go to Cole and then go to Sam.
Sam, if you want to go ahead.
I didn't have a big. Well, yeah, go ahead. But my thing, what I was going to just say is, I think I accept it, her story being a little more over-explained, because so much of hers is emotionally driven based on her relationships, and Catwoman specifically, her arc is the emotional core to this movie. Where the others, I think, you follow their plot points and their gags, and they look a certain way, but her transition is the heart of the movie, or lack thereof. She is the most sympathetic person when you're watching this movie.
Yeah, I think you do need that before, because she is have that relationship with Bruce too. So I think having that, because she's the connective tissue to Bruce, not Penguin. I mean, Penguin has interactions with Batman. There's no Penguin and Bruce Wayne interaction, though. You know what I mean? Whereas Bruce is, and we can talk more about Bruce and Selena versus Bruce and Vicky from the last movie after we're done talking about them as, like, villains or whatnot. But I think that's also part of why, like, their relationship is seeing where she comes from, and then that journey is just more tangential to the story. Like Sam was saying, it's the emotional core. Go ahead, Cole.
Tangential, your word of the day, everyone.
Did I say that right?
But Corey, so there is I believe so, but there is an inferior version of this character arc that Batman or Catwoman goes through, and it's in the Halle Berry Catwoman movie.
I haven't seen it. I want to focus on this one though.
No, I'm just saying. So Zach says there is this implied supernaturalness to,
or it could be. You can.
So
you
what
can read it that
happens
way.
to Halle Berry's character in that movie is a cat legitimately breathes into her mouth, and she is brought back to life as Catwoman, and yet she goes on the Michelle Pfeiffer arc, but as like a hero, would that have done more for you in?
No, I honestly, I think the main thing was that we saw, I don't even know, because it wasn't that, thinking back on those two scenes, like her actual origin story, because I mean, before that, she was just she was like a secretary who didn't have the best life, right? Like we know, like her boyfriend was like her family didn't really like her. Her boyfriend left her, it seemed, to go on vacation alone, and she just wasn't happy at her job. And so like there are these things that make it like a kind of a tragedy of her story, but it's like, I don't know, we're not really seeing anything that's driving her to do anything more than just like, I don't know, key someone's car. Like she's not really driven to go until she's pushed out of the window and we're given her full story. And it's like, okay, she's pushed over the edge and I buy it now. And I'm looking back on those two scenes of her getting pushed out of the window and dealing with Max in the office and her back at home. I guess there isn't really anything that like bothers me that's like, oh, why are we doing that? I think the main thing is that it just kind of feels out of place in this movie because you've had these villains and these heroes that are just like given to you, like here they are, this is who they are, and you learn who they are through their actions. I would say even Joker in the last one, to a certain extent, like even though we saw him become the Joker that he was, I think that was just amplifying who he already was. It wasn't really saying like, oh, he's given all this new like, it's a very similar path, but I think we kind of see Selena Kyle driven over the edge, and up to the top of the mountain where she like falls from grace and has to go on this vendetta
For
against
me,
it.
it's not who like she was and who she becomes similar to the Joker. It's who she was and who she wants to be. She wants to be this confident, you can see it early on, the way she dresses. She has her hair tied up. She's not really wearing revealing clothing. And after her transformation, there becomes this kind of natural expression of who she is. And that is kind of the point of the transformation. It's not who she is and who she becomes. It's who she is and who she wants to be. She wants to be this confident person who can walk up to billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne and say these lines to him like, mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it. And when he replies, a kiss can be more deadlier if you mean it, she doesn't bat an eye because that's who she wants to be. Her beforehand, if Bruce Wayne had said hello, she would have dropped all the papers and coffee on the floor, So I don't think you can compare Catwoman to Joker because it's a completely different character, completely different story. And it's hard for me to kind of reconcile with what you're saying because I view it as two different characters and like the journey.
I'm not connecting them. I'm not trying to compare them. I'm just saying if you're looking at it like the two characters that we've gotten where we see them become who they are in the middle of the movie or towards the beginning of the movie, like I don't think they compare the same. So I'm agreeing with you. Zach, do you have final thoughts before we kind of shift focus here?
I think you have to show this stuff because as opposed to Joker or Penguin, whose motivations are more broad, big evil empire, here's what I'm going to do to this city, her motivation is all revenge. It is all revenge on Max Shrek. That's why the first thing she does, besides, she saves a woman who's getting mugged, but she robs the Shrek store, the Max Shrek department store. That's what she does, and then her ultimate goal is to kill Max. That's what she wants to do. So I think
the detour to kill Batman.
Right. Well, yeah, the detour to kill Batman is because he stopped her from doing that. So now she wants to play a quote unquote integral role in his degradation, which is another just fantastic line in this script to me. It's just like I love the way they talk in this movie. I think that's just meow. Yeah, that might be the best line in the movie. After all those backflips and then just meow followed by explosion.
It's hear me roar, meow.
She doesn't say hear me roar, meow. That's two different scenes you're mixing up. But they're both good, Cole. Either one of them is going to be the opening of the episode. I can tell you that. Maybe the. I don't know. A lot of great options for that opening, and I don't know what I'll go with. Who knows? Go ahead, Corey.
Floor. I was gonna say eat floor, high fiber. I like
Sam
that
likes
one.
that one. Sam and I always get a kick out of that one.
That one, yeah.
That's been a topic of conversation before. I think on the topic of Catwoman, though, not exactly the same conversation you were having, though, Corey, but it's a good segue off of that. Is I think what's interesting about her character is that she's pushed out of a window and pretty much killed by her boss. She does not go to the police. She instead is going outside of the system because I think the system would probably find a way to favor Max Shrek, and I think she knows that.
She says that
in this regard. Yeah, like this. Yeah, exactly. So I think her turning to that or vigilantism makes a lot of sense, and it's cohesive with the rest of the story. Just kind of an indictment of the system, quote unquote, in a broad sense. In that, like Penguin, Max Shrek is the normal guy, right? The normal villain, quote unquote. And you have the two freaks here, Penguin and Catwoman, on different ends of that spectrum. Max Shrek is gaming the system because he's trying to push Oswald Penguin through as mayor and using his PR to try to make a whole human interest story out of it. And Catwoman is going around the system to try to get what she wants, which is revenge on Max because she knows it's broken and it will favor him. And I think both Catwoman especially is obviously supposed to be viewed sympathetically. And then even like Sam was saying, Penguin is a tragic story. I think the villain of this story, 100% with no asterisk of well, look at what happened to them, is Max Shrek. And that is, I think, why it does get a little crowded with three villains because Catwoman does get sidelined for a decent chunk of the climax, but I think it does support three villains better than a movie by another beloved director of mine, Sam Raimi, with Spider-Man 3 cannot handle three villains. It just couldn't figure out a way to handle three villains. And this movie, I think, does it really well. It does not buckle under that weight. So I think, and it's two distinct stories with Catwoman versus Shrek and then Penguin running for mayor, but Max is at the center of both of those, so that's why it never feels too disjointed. He's the connective tissue between those two narratives, and then Catwoman and Penguin come together to try to defeat Batman as well, in a certain way in the middle. So I don't know. I just had that point to make that we have three very distinct villains that are connected, but the real villain that's not the quote unquote freak Catwoman, Penguin, or even Batman are on the hero side of it. Max is the real villain. So. I think that's just the genius of the script is what I'm trying to say.
I love your point there, Zach, because Penguin wants love, and it's very sad. And like Sam said, that's what makes him such a sympathetic character. And then Selena Kyle's just a woman trying to do her job. She did not. She caused an inconvenience to her boss and was murdered.
I'd like to clarify. Presented as a sympathetic character, I think he's rotten to the core.
He is, but you can at least say, was it caused by what happened to him as a child?
Yeah, that's fair.
There's the thing about Penguin is it's the ugliness of his parents, who you can tell even from his dad's reaction, not being in the room for
Pee-wee.
the birth of his son. Yeah, it was Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens, R.I.P. But
oh my gosh,
there's this ugliness in his parents that has been kind of personified in their son and is just like seeping out of him in the form of black sludge by the end of the movie. Like he is the pure embodiment of cruelty begets more cruelty.
Mm-hmm. And then he is about to kill, he was the firstborn son, but they treated him like number two. A very clever line as well there. Because literally treated him like shit. They put him into a sewer.
He's literally he's the demented Moses from hell.
Yeah, and then on the Moses train, keeping with that, Book of Exodus storytelling beat, he tries to kill the firstborn son of everybody in Gotham, like God did to the Egyptians. So that's.
I'm pretty sure God did do that to the Egyptians. God did not try. He did do that.
Well, yeah.
What are we getting into right now?
Religion.
I'll just say I was just saying that, he starts as the Moses illusion because he's put in the basket down the river, but it was a sewer. And then he's taken in by the circus folk. And then by the end, he's trying to play God, kind of like what we were just saying there, where he's trying to take the firstborn son of everybody in Gotham as his revenge. Not really sure what I'm trying to say by that, but it is just an interesting, probably intentional motif there, at least in the storytelling.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
yeah.
The thing about Moses was he was sent away because children were being murdered, and it wasn't
that's what you think.
Our
Cole.
parents were trying to get rid of their ugly son type deal.
I do want to give a brief take here that you guys can go off of in any direction you want. Cole kind of alluded to it. I know we've talked about this before. At least with me and Cole and me and Sam, I'm sure I've said this. I think this movie pairs the grossest superhero movie villain that has ever been made with the sexiest superhero movie villain that has ever been on the screen. And I'm very comfortable saying that. I brought this list up before, I think. I don't remember what context, but me and my friend Taylor were at a bar and we would challenge each other to write down the top 5 sexiest movie characters ever. And that doesn't mean, hottest people who have ever been on screen. That's a different discussion. That's like whatever. You're probably going to get some supermodel who was a bad actress in some random slasher movie. But sexiest movie character, which is that's different because that takes into apart the character and the costuming and all, and the storytelling and all that. And I do think Michelle Pfeiffer's Selena Kyle Catwoman is in that top 5 for sure. I think she made my top 5 is my point there.
Did you keep the
two
list?
farthest ends of this? There's a picture of it on Twitter. So my digital footprint is just amazing.
Funny digital footprint. Let's search it.
I don't know. It was other ones on there were Trinity from The Matrix, obviously similar look with the black leather. I think what's her face from Zorro made it as well. Catherine
Zeta-Jones. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the lasers.
Number 1. That's subtle, or that was niche. The number 1 I do remember was Sharon Stone. Don't say it, Cole. Don't do it, Cole. Was Sharon Stone from Basic Instinct. Oh, that was number 1. You guys, that's highly recommended viewing from Zach is Basic Instinct. But yeah, I think that it's just an interesting juxtaposition there. And then Batman's right in the middle of it, obviously. Go ahead, Sam. Do you look like you had something to say about it?
Well, I was going to say the only other one who I think would be comparable in a superhero movie might be from the original trilogy, Rebecca Romijn Mystique.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's quite a look.
Yeah, it's a good look, but I'm just saying the character. The character is part of it here, and the Selena Kyle character here is so strong, and that is part of that discussion there. The way that
you think Uma Thurman's too over the top?
She is too over the top. I'll bring her up later in a different context. But when she walks back into her apartment and has a meltdown crash out and breaks the 2 neon lights of the letters when she walks in, and then she starts making her costume, and then that shot of the cats in the foreground on the ledge and her
here,
not in focus but in the background with hell here or whatever, and with her whip and all that. That's just incredible. That's so incredible.
Well,
I do want to say...
Go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead if you have something, because I have a prompt.
I was going to just say, I think Michelle Pfeiffer is at her absolute best in this movie. She's
incredible.
Relishing in all of it. I mean, whether it is being over the top or portraying herself as this sexy, confident woman, but she has that perfect balance of fragile, manic, just Like vulnerability there even. Like the scene where they're dancing and it's like right when they realize who each other is, she has that break between crying and like, do we have to fight each other? But it was only, 5 seconds before that. She is stunning in that dress coming down the stairs.
Well, I know we like to talk about that Dark Knight Rises scene where I think the Dark Knight Rises scene might have been a subtle homage to this scene in the sense of
it definitely
with
was.
the like, what's your costume or whatever. And
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce and Selena are the only two not wearing masks because, like, obviously that is them wearing their masks because who they really are is who they are at night. And that goes into, like, the whole story, the statement that this movie's about, quote unquote freaks or whatever. They're freaks. And I think I like that. That's like, there's a button put on that point by the fact that at the end, Penguin and Batman are fighting and Penguin has that line. He's like, you're just jealous because you have to put on a mask instead of like, whatever he says, like where I'm just a genuine freak, but you have to put on a mask or something like that. And Batman goes, maybe you're right.
There's the great Daredevil Punisher scene where Punisher looks at Daredevil and he goes, you're just one bad day away from being me. And that's kind of alluded to in any comic book story. There is always the yin and the yang, the Joker to the Batman, the Lex Luthor to the Superman. I mean,
and there is more of there's a similar conversation in Dark Knight of like, oh, how did the absurdity of Batman's existence, did that beget, someone like the Joker showing up? And that's a different world, so that's a different conversation. There's a lot of weirdos in this Burton world. So I don't think like, oh, Catwoman would have always happened no matter if Batman was there or not. Penguin was already there no matter if Batman was there or not. So that's not quite the conversation they're having here at Cole, but it does the whole yin and yang of it, of like how close they are, like you're one bad day away being me. It's like that the roles in that conversation is reversed at the end of this movie where Batman is pleading with Selena, so much so that he is willing to expose his identity to Max Schreck, someone that he has no intention of killing, just to try to stop her from killing him, from taking that next step or whatever into like, actual like murdering people. Because even though Batman himself does kill a couple of people in this movie, and has a nice little grin about it too, but that's not the point. He's trying to stop her from killing.
Those are criminals,
Schreck.
though, Zach.
Yeah, right. So and Max Schreck's just like a white collar criminal.
White collar criminals are.
He goes,
not
me and you,
criminals.
Selena, are the same, split right down the center. So like he is like begging her to like have that life, and she looks like she wants to do it too. She's like, I'd love to live with you in your castle. I just couldn't live with myself or whatever. So like I don't know. I think that Tim Burton too is like also part of my point is like Tim Burton is the perfect director for these, like we were saying, just because of the content of these characters. Like literally like, oh, they're all outsiders, like quote unquote, like freaks or whatever. I mean, Penguin literally is a physical freak, but like Tim Burton always tends to, I talked about this last episode where he does like is drawn to weirdos. Edward Scissorhands is all about feeling different, and Ed Wood, all that stuff. And so I think
he's a man who
really
finds the beauty in monsters and the outcasts.
Yeah. And also just the reverence for old horror movies is, I think, even more present here with the look of this. Like I was looking at a shot of the way he frames like Max Schreck when he's like hovering over Selena.
Well, do you guys, did you catch like one of the most obvious ones in the name Max Schreck?
Oh, yeah. I know that bit of trivia already, but that's the name of the actor who played Nosferatu in the original 1920s Nosferatu.
Oh, very interesting.
So they not a very direct reference there. But yeah. So do you guys, the juxtaposition, I know my answer. Obviously, it's been very clear. What do you guys prefer, Bruce and Selena or Bruce and Vicky Vale? Did either relationship ring more strong to you? Because I view it as Bruce, in the first one, Bruce struggling to reconcile being in a relationship with a quote-unquote normal person. And then this one is more tragic because he finds someone who's like him, and the tragedy is that they just can't be together because of the circumstances.
To your point, Zach,
the circumstances being she kills herself.
Well, she's not
because
dead
she's
at the
trying
end.
to kill. Because she's trying to kill. Her vendetta is more important than being with Bruce. Is what I think.
So
the ultimate thing there is.
Zach, to your point, with Vicky Vale, it's who he thinks he's supposed to be with.
I agree.
Bruce Wayne is this character who wants to live the normal life. Michael Keaton, I think, does that probably because Christian Bale's version's just sad boy Bruce Wayne. But anyway,
he's pining after one specific woman.
Yeah,
and he's put her on the pedestal. He's put her on the pedestal. Is what he does.
But Michael Keaton in the first movie, Vicky Vale is she's beautiful. She's got a great job. She's this fantastic person. And to that point, he thinks he's supposed to be with her. And yes, he may love her, but he doesn't know how to be with someone who's in this world that he can't truly live in. Whereas Selena Kyle is more his equal. You know, she can fight with him. She can do all this stuff. She can keep up with him. And she also has a part of herself that only he can know. Vicky Vale can't really know what it's like to be Batman. Selena Kyle can know what it's like to be Batman because she has this own version of herself that she does not share with the other people in her life. The other people, of course, being her cats, but it stands to reason that she's not sharing this with anybody.
Yeah.
Well, something that I think they both share that they relate to is they are both broken individuals.
Yeah.
Bruce's hurt happened at a much younger age. Hers clearly had been slowly building up, but I think that's where they kind of find each other, that shared grief. Maybe for different reasons, but they can relate with each other on that level.
Yeah, I agree. I think I lean more towards Selena Kyle as well with Bruce over Vicky Vale. But that's because, I talked about it a lot at the very beginning, Selena Kyle and her story. But that's only because I think her story was easily the most interesting one on screen. And whenever she was on screen, it was just like, I wanted to see what was going on. I was interested in what was going to happen next. I wanted to see where she was going to go. And like, even at the end, it's just like when her story wraps up, it's like, it feels like the movie comes to a conclusion. And that whole back and forth with Penguin, honestly, at the very end, didn't really do a lot for me. I kind of feel like they should have wrapped that up a little bit earlier and focused more on the fallout with Selena and Max and Batman. I'm not gonna say that I think that they should have taken Penguin out of this movie completely, but I think I would have been just as invested in this movie if you would have had some. Maybe it's Chip. Maybe it's his son who he's trying to push to become mayor. Maybe it's him who he's trying to push to become mayor, and Max still has the exact same intentions, and they're going through the exact same basic storyline on that side. But you take that time or that screen time and put it more towards Selena Kyle, put it more towards her relationship with Bruce Wayne and like how she's going out there at night and trying to basically destroy Max Schreck. I think that would have been a very, very interesting movie still. And I would have been just as into it.
But you can't get that Max Schreck toy at Batman or at McDonald's, Corey. You need the Penguin.
You can. You really can.
I'm the reference is flying over my head.
That's why Burton got fired from the next movie.
Why?
Because they couldn't sell toys.
They couldn't sell
not
toys?
a movie for kids.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if that's your goal, then yeah, I don't know if
do you
it's necessarily
think
that.
you, as a little boy, your mother would have looked at a penguin toy and been like, "Oh my God, I want to get this for my son"?
Well, I don't.
I'll be honest. That
often
actually
think
was
of
not the
myself-
point I was making. What I was getting at is to counter what you were saying is you have to have the Penguin because he is a marketable villain.
Okay,
But yes,
and
it was a
that's-
tie-in to that.
No, and that's completely fine. I think when you have that entire where Batman's a DJ on the record that is Penguin's confession, I kind of wish they would have wrapped it up around that time because like that the sequence at the zoo where he's fighting Penguin and he's like, I'm closing in, and then you have the penguins that all go out and ultimately don't really have too much of a consequence of going out there and trying to destroy the world. It doesn't really lead anywhere. I kind of wish you would have done away with that and maybe had like a final fight or a final end conclusion sequence with Penguin around that time of him falling from mayor or falling out of favor with the city to become mayor, and then like kind of a conclusion there. Because like if you take out the ending of him trying to kill all the firstborns that really doesn't lead anywhere. And where you take out the penguin part, I mean, you could take out
But
him.
rocket penguins, Corey.
That is ultimately what starts the explosion at the climax, is that the rockets all destroy Penguin's lair, and that's why everything's falling apart at the end and all that.
I know. I'm just saying, like, if you would have had a more
penguins.
emotional, if you would have focused more emotionally, I'm not saying cut this movie down. I'm just saying I think I would have responded more. I would have liked the movie more if they would have given more time and more. I don't even know what the right word is, but like a more in-depth conclusion to the Max, Selena, Bruce storyline, because when he rips his mask off there at the very end, like that's the most like interesting part of the entire conclusion of him going through that and her just like struggling with like, do I kill this guy? Do I like, do I want to be with Bruce? Like I'm, and she's just crying and she's just so conflicted, and that's the most interesting part. And you have it sandwiched by Penguin diving off a cliff in his undies and then a penguin funeral at the very end, right? That happens right after.
It's
and
a
just
little
like,
sad too. It is surprising how sad that is to me. All the penguins pushing him into the water.
But it's also like the way he says that. Yeah, it's slightly comical, but it's because his body is like legitimately melting from the inside. He is
that fall killed him.
Spewing black ooze out of his mouth, and he just wants a drink of water.
There's something sad there. I do like that. That is a funny line though. Like, I will be murdering you momentarily, but first I just need a drink of ice water or something like that. But I see what you're saying, Corey. I do see what you're saying.
I think you could have done all of that at once and then completely focused on Selena and Max. And
I'm not gonna say you're wrong. You're not wrong there. I don't know how you do that, but maybe it is. There is just a lot of there's right. Well, there's a lot of fun ideas there. I do think like there is something, you know, if you're on board for the absurdity of it, there is something pretty chilling about the the choo-choo train going through Gotham and stealing children. And then the absurdity of the penguins with rockets, like those are great ideas that I don't want to get rid of, but I do agree that the Selena, Max, Bruce storyline is the emotional core of this movie and more interesting to me, and that's always been more interesting to me than the penguin stuff. And I think growing up I used to prefer the original Batman to this one, and now I've kind of flipped because I think the Joker is just more catered to watching as a kid. It is a more entertaining movie. He's a more entertaining villain to watch as a kid than the Penguin, who is just super gross, and Catwoman, who is, just that's the most adult villain that you'll have in a Batman movie, is this version of Catwoman in terms of just, her origin, her place in society, which, I just don't think you really pick up on as a kid. You're not really thinking about, second wave feminism or whatever. So I think this is just, it's a more mature way to look at a Batman movie. And like on the topic of like losing the Happy Meals, I do think on this scene alone, even like the Max corpse, when he's like, that used to scare the shit out of me. Like that Max corpse with the tongue out and all that, very Tim Burton looking corpse too. You can tell it's a Tim Burton movie by looking at corpses in some of his movies. The way that when he's like fried, Corey, when like Christopher Walken's like fried, that body with his tongue out, like the eyes out and all that. That scared me as a kid. I think the whole idea of kids being kidnapped was scary. Penguin as a whole character is, scary. The way he bites that guy's nose, like, it could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood. He bites that guy's nose, and that gush of blood is so violent.
He is a gross character.
This is all to my point that this is a very adult movie, even more so than the last one, surrounded with, ridiculous comic book elements that are taken seriously by the characters in the movie. It's not a parody of itself. And then on top of that, even as opposed to the last movie, this movie is far hornier. There's like so many innuendos in this movie. Just between the Penguin's, gross lines of that, the way he's like talking about creating this fantasy that he's going to sleep with Catwoman. He's like, picture it, like I'm in the mayor's office bushed and you come in or whatever, Cat. Yeah, that's what he says, right?
I had a heavy spade.
Yeah, I would have you spade. It's absurd. It's absurd. Yeah, just that his, lecherous lines, and then but like the way that Catwoman's like, oh, I feel so dirty, and starts licking herself, or like the way she literally like tells Bruce, like, isn't there a part where like he says something's hard and then she like reaches down and goes semi-hard or whatever? Isn't that like in the dance? Am I making that up? There's something like that, I swear to God. But so like it's some type of boner joke there. And then she literally offers like, there's a mattress upstairs, like let's go up to it. Like this is all in a kids movie, you know, quote unquote, is what McDonald's thought. So like I think it's just my point that is like this, it is a miracle that we got this movie, and I do understand why, you know, Warner Brothers got scared to do another one. You know, there's an interview, you know, I think I retweeted it a long time ago. Like there's like kids were brought onto a TV show to talk about their reaction to Batman Returns and how scarred they were by it, and like were you scared by the movie? And like these little like 9-year-olds talking about why they were scared by Batman Returns. And I think I like quote tweeted it with that like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar watching The Memory, like no, like don't, because
let me leave, Murph.
These little bastards cost us a third Burton Batman film, with this, you know, because they're so scared. But yeah, I mean, I think it is. I do understand why that happened. That is what makes this movie so singular, though, is that it is very adult coded with all these ridiculous comic book elements that would traditionally be reserved for like at least supposed to be palatable for kids as well as adults, where this movie is not thinking about the kids. It is just not at all.
It's
which I think is why it holds up so well.
About Batman, to add to the point that we have not talked about anything that goes on with Batman throughout,
because he's overshadowed by how good these villains are. But before we get to that specifically, I do want to ask that prompt: is this? I think the answer is a resounding yes, at least on my end. Is this the horniest Batman film?
Are you actually asking?
I'm actually asking. The only one that comes remotely close is the new Matt Reeves one, at least. Kind of is a little bit.
That movie can't even compare in horniness, man.
I was actually going to say that the next one is possibly there. I mean, the Joel Schumacher ones,
Batman and Robin is a pretty horny movie. Like,
well, I was going to say,
as a character, Poison Ivy is arguably as like her innuendos and her sensuality are on par with Catwoman.
I'd say yes to your prop though, Zach. This one is, but I think also Nicole Kidman is on a different level of she wants some Dark Knight.
Yeah. Well, I know how that sentence ends, and I appreciate your discretion. But that was your point was made very well there. Corey, if you have nothing to say specifically about the
horniness.
No, I didn't feel any horny
the libido
this
of
one.
this film.
I
was gonna say
no, it is, and it's not just like the two main characters trying to like go at each other and like showing the scenes of them just like aggressively like like breathing and like gasping and saying we can't do this, you know. It's like the villain having that being one of his calling cards is him just fondling women and like saying weird things to women.
Running for office, very prescient.
Yeah, very but it
very
does
topical.
feel like it's all over this movie. The fingerprints of horniness are all over this movie for sure.
Oh, that's well said. You said it better than I ever could have there.
Fingerprints of horniness.
The fingerprints of horniness are all over this movie. But okay, and to the larger point that it cost us another Batman movie from Tim Burton, I should say specifically. So I did have that prompt. I thought it was a fun prompt. I don't know when I added it, who saw it and who didn't.
I added that one. I thought.
Well, you had said like what other villains would Burton have liked, but so I have a similar thing here. Is what villain? If you could have picked another, like, let's say we got a third Burton Batman movie, let's say 1995, let's say after Ed Wood, before Mars Attacks. That's the timeline we're working with here. So 1995, let's say Batman Returns again.
Quick question. Yes. I do want to ask, in this implied third movie, do we get Marlon Wayans' Robin that was cut from this movie?
Let's avoid Robin for now, because I was going to bring that up, as I would have taken that over to Chris O'Donnell. But that is fair enough. Yeah. If you were to pick a villain, and if you had a 90s actor in mind for that villain, who would it be? I can go first if you guys want to prepare your response.
Yeah.
Okay.
And are we going to include the rumored person who WB, I believe, wanted to have?
Well, I don't know who it is,
who
Sam, so go right ahead.
I believe there's discussions whether it was floated out there or if it actually was under real consideration was the Riddler portrayed by Robin Williams.
I would have loved to see that, especially in this universe.
I've heard of that one. Yes, I've heard of that one.
Do you Do you think that Jim Carrey's Riddler could have worked in this universe?
I mean, I think Jim Carrey is the type of actor who plays to the script, and he would have played to whatever script Burton gave him.
That's a good enough. Yeah, he'll accept direction. I'm just saying, as the iteration of how we got him in Batman Forever is what I'm asking.
I think it's a completely different iteration if it's a completely different director.
So your answer is no.
No.
I know it would have been different. I was asking if that
Maybe
version, if you copy and pasted him into Batman Return. Don't worry about it. I'm moving on from that. And all that, my tongue-in-cheek response, though, on the topic of Batman Forever, my tongue-in-cheek response would have been Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, if we were going to keep it consistent. Pay off that casting in the OG one.
He was in this one, wasn't he?
No, not in
No, he wasn't in this one.
But that's why, that's the story. I don't know. I don't know how credible it is that he only accepted that kind of small of a part in the first one with the expectation that he would be Two-Face in the sequel. Which makes sense, and I would have accepted that 2 movies later, and whatever the third one would have been. That would have been fun. But
we sort of
my
got
answer
a payoff to that in Lego Batman.
Yes, we did. You're right. I forgot about that. That might be the horniest Batman movie. Just kidding. I think my answer, if I'm thinking realistically, what actor does Tim Burton just love the most?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp coming off of his second collaboration with Tim Burton, if it's 1995, coming off of Ed Wood. And I'm taking a villain that does get used later in Batman, but a 1995 Johnny Depp Scarecrow.
I was going to say that.
I think that would have best been the bee's knees. I think that would have been just the beaver's dam. You know what I'm saying? I think that I really would have liked that a lot. So that would be my number one answer. And then if I want to get real goofy with it, let's say like Nick Cage as like Black Mask, like Roman Sion or whatever his name is.
Roman
Give me a
Sionis.
pretty crazy give me a Nick Cage type of gangster, I think.
On par with
Nick Cage.
Ewan McGregor's underrated performance of the character in Birds of Prey.
I would have said Ewan McGregor in 1995, but he would have been too young. That was 4 years before Phantom Menace. And Trainspotting was before Phantom Menace,
I was leaning Scarecrow for my answer. I think another fun one that we haven't seen very much could have been Mad Hatter.
I was going to say that too.
That would be right up his alley. And in a
did
sense,
you have a 90s actor, Sam?
Well, I don't even know if he would be perfect for this role, but I think Tim Burton, he did end up working with him, but I think Crispin Glover would be a very eccentric villain choice. Even if he was like a B villain in the movie. I don't know if he's
from Friday the 13th
film,
Part 4.
But I think he would be great.
Is that where you know him from?
I do agree, Mad Hatter. I don't know who I'd have him play, but I think Burton would play up the Alice in Wonderland aspect of the character to a level that we would have not seen, and I think it would have been great.
Without the CGI, too.
I have a strong take about Burton's Alice in Wonderland for the review section. Just you wait about that. Corey, did you have one before we move on from that prompt?
I've been looking because this is a prompt that is very it's very deep, because not only do you need to know a lot of 90s actors, you need to know a lot of Batman villains. And I was trying to put a certain person in like a role, like I was trying to put Samuel L. Jackson because I thought he would have been fun in a certain role. I couldn't really label him and put him in one, and then I was thinking like Bruce Willis, maybe he could be in it. But you know who I'm thinking?
Who are you thinking, baby?
My one of my favorite Batman villains. One of my favorite Batman villains is oh my gosh, what's it? Nightwing.
You can't remember
Nightwing.
his name.
Well, I was thinking, because I looked up a list and so his actual name, but like when he, it's like, and you were talking about Robin, and like Nightwing is like kind of along the same lines, and so it would have been fun to see a Robin come up with Batman and Nightwing kind of an equal person on the opposite side coming up at the exact same time. And I was like, who is someone that could be crazy, do flips, all that kind of stuff? And wouldn't you know it, would you put Tom Cruise as Nightwing or Jason Todd in a third Batman movie with
I've
him?
If you're going with Jason Todd, I would go with like a younger actor. I mean, Brad Pitt as Jason Todd Red Hood would actually be really good in my opinion, just because he can play that like angry angstiness that's kind of needed for someone who was murdered by the Joker.
Yeah. But that would be that's who I'd pick. But
Tommy Thomas Nightwing.
We were also robbed of a Catwoman solo movie, which is what Burton said he would have liked to have done next. Actually,
we actually got one.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
bad.
Okay,
so you're wrong.
Now, Corey, did you see The Flash?
Of course, saw it 4 times.
Remember, James Gunn did say, he said, I mean this, I'm James Gunn, I'm putting my name on it. This reflects my credibility. Cole will always believe me because what I say is fact. He said Flash is one of the best superhero movies ever made.
I saw it in
that's what he
IMAX
said.
3 times.
He said that. He said that. I'm James Gunn. He
sound
quoted
bitter.
It is one of the most bullshit quotes I've ever freaking heard. Is he drop kicked his credibility to the moon with that? He was trying to sell tickets.
I've rented it 4 times, and I've also bought the movie digitally.
Well, yeah. I wanted to say that I was kind of cautiously optimistic about Michael Keaton's return in that movie, and then when I saw it, not through any problem of Michael Keaton's performance, but I just could not reconcile that version of him as this Batman. And maybe part of that is the look of the world, and just never felt like I was in the same universe as this movie. Like I said, this is what I think is the best looking superhero movie ever made. I think The Flash bottom tier.
It's the worst.
I think it does not look good. I think when people say this looks like a PS2 fight scene, like when they all show up to that battle at the end in a barren wasteland of just flat grayness.
The camera pans around, nice little video game.
Pans around like, okay, time to fight. Like that is exactly what it was. I mean, that was like, it's just crazy. Andy Muschietti, what an artist. I just started Welcome to Derry, side note. But I just could not think this. I could not say the Flash was like in this universe. I can't do it. I just couldn't reconcile it.
I mean, I think the problem with the Flash being in that universe is you're also putting the Man of Steel in this universe, and then you're saying, okay, our Batman as we knew him in 1989 and 1992. Oh, he's in this universe, and that just doesn't work because that's not our Batman. The suit that Ben Affleck uses in those movies works better in those movies than Michael Keaton's all leather suit. Like it just doesn't work in that setting. So trying to bring him back to get views, I was honestly more interested in seeing him in the Batgirl project that we're never going to get to see because that he was going to be like a mentor to her. We were going to get Brendan Fraser as Firefly during the Renaissance, of course. But I mean, it doesn't work. And the fact that you try and do the whole multiverse mixed timeline thing and shoehorn him in, there are characters that only work in certain spaces. I couldn't see Christian Bale's Batman in that universe. I couldn't see
that would have made the movie so much better.
Dude.
Oh God. I cannot tell you how heartbreaking that would have. Multiply my frustration with like Hugh Jackman Wolverine showing up in Deadpool and Wolverine and like those universes mixing and those tones mixing. Just multiply that if Christian Bale came back from the great ending in Dark Knight Rises to be in The Flash. Oh my God. That's the sign of the end times for me. If that happens,
that would be so good.
Lord.
Christian Bale
like
needs
him
a
and George
check.
Clooney just start making out. That would be good.
That is, you know what? Best part of The Flash is the spoiler alert for Flash. I do not care if you haven't seen it. The George Clooney conclusion of that movie was a good gag. That was a good, funny gag.
I love the joke that this movie was so bad that he got trapped in the Batman and Robin universe. That's really the joke there.
That is
like
it's hilarious.
He's stuck there. Like you fucked up pretty bad, Ezra. You're staying in Batman.
Oh, you think it was
Robin.
personal for Ezra Miller's crimes in real life? You think that their punishment was being sentenced to a lifetime in Batman and Robin?
Who the fuck is this?
That was a good
So
bit.
are we allowed to talk about Batman in this movie? Or does it have to be The Flash?
I think we should before we move on. I think that should be the final topic. And the one last thing I should say is that before we move on to just talking about Batman in this movie is, I know we got off this topic. I do want to say I do appreciate that they didn't just forget Vicky Vale existed. I like the conversation between him and Selena where they really talk about it. I like the whole like, oh, there were two truths and she had trouble reconciling them. That's a very good, again, adult scene, not written for children, very much not written for children type of scene. There in the fire, a lot of firelight hearth scenes in Wayne Manor in this movie that look really good.
No overhead lighting.
You
ceilings are too high.
Exactly.
Bruce Wayne can't afford overhead lights. Yeah.
Did you
Also,
notice that this Wayne Manor
finally-
is completely different from the exterior shots of this manor? Look like a completely different place from the Wayne Manor in the last movie. Tim Burton was like, I'm gonna redesign this, and it looks a lot better in this one. I also like to bring up Alfred. They addressed my big Alfred problem from the last movie.
Yep.
I like that Bruce held him accountable. I was like, oh, I turn on, there's Vicky. Hi, Vic. Whatever. Like, I'm glad that we were not forgetting that egregious breach of trust from Alfred there. Before he gets into the Iron Maiden, which I love that Iron Maiden slide into the Batcave after reaching into a fish tank to turn it. Yeah, amazing. That's just amazing. that's what I live for. That's hype. That's so hype. Okay, but go ahead, Sam.
Well, first, quick question for Corey. Was Bruce Wayne sitting alone in a dark room enough brooding for you in this one?
Oh yeah. Oh dude, that's a hell of it. That might be the best shot in any Batman movie when he stands up into the signal and then the wide shot.
After
and
he's
then the
sitting
wide
there
shot of the signal
thinking by
coming in
himself.
across the library.
You know what?
Oh,
I don't
man.
care how far you are from the city. How do people not find out this guy is Batman? It's
doesn't go-
shining into his home.
Cole, it reflected into all the different mirrors.
Who set up these mirrors?
Haven't you seen The Mummy? With all the mirror redirection of light?
To answer your question, Sam, brooding. I don't know if I needed more brooding. I don't think that was my point against Batman in the first one, that he wasn't brooding enough. It just felt like a very different character than the Batmans that we've known. I think him sitting there. What?
Well, this was the first one we knew, to be fair.
Again, and I think I mentioned this when we talked about the first Batman, that I might be a little bit jaded by seeing all these Batmans and having the wealth of movies that we have these days. I think that might cause some sort of I don't even know what the word would be. Yeah, a certain expectation that the first one wasn't holding itself to. I think that's the proper way of saying it. Losing my train of thought.
Sorry, there was some really scary noise outside my apartment
Zach
that sounded
and I heard,
like an Aztec
whistling.
death whistle. It was like one of those Aztec death ritual whistles. They do it in Bone Tomahawk, but it was really
So
scary. It was
familiar with
right
this.
outside my apartment. I have no idea what the hell that was.
Sounded like
And I are was that?
It sounds
Yeah,
like
it was
just a fire
scary.
truck.
Imagine how scared I am. I'm sitting right next to it. I think it's out here.
Pee Pee Poo Poo Man's coming for you.
You won't be laughing when he kills you.
But the Batman brooding in this movie, was
Yes,
he
well
brooding
done.
enough? I don't know if he needed to be brooding. That's not something I was looking for in the first one. I think that, as I said, I think I just had an expectation from seeing the other ones where he is very isolated, where he is very he is brooding as Bruce Wayne. But that I would not classify that as brooding. I also wouldn't classify him as an isolationist, even in this one. And I think that is okay. I don't understand why you guys fight me on every opinion I have on these movies that aren't your opinion. Where it's like, I think it's weird that the townspeople treated penguins so oddly. Well, let me tell you why you're wrong. And then it's like, well, I don't know if Batman's necessarily the most isolated, and I didn't really get that from these movies. If you read between the lines, you can kind of see it. It's like, okay, well, how much studying do I have to do?
Corey, I'm fine with him not being an isolated character. I think that's the point. He's this guy who has to hold up the image, and that's kind of the point.
We do get a good Bruce Wayne in business mode scene here with him and Shrek when he goes very casually, well, I'm going to fight you on this, Max. And he says it very calmly.
He's like, I had the study done.
Yeah.
Throws a packet of papers at him.
Awesome.
To be fair, I did not want to bring that up to it was a jest. It was a harmless rumor.
No, I know,
but it was given a good fun.
No, it was. I was just
Zach and I are hearing the murderers coming outside his window.
Well, I mean,
non sequitur.
Yeah.
I do like
because I actually do
have
have a hot take.
Oh, I guess I'll let you give that before I go ahead.
I have a hot take.
Well, are you taking
I like
hot takes,
other.
Cole?
Yeah, are you accepting
I
them?
thought
Will
we
you
were.
allow me a hot take, if you will, please?
I'm wearing red because I'm.
I got my
prepared for these hot
mittens. I got
takes.
my mittens for the hot take.
I don't want to hear it anymore. Let's move on.
Okay, well, I'll just eat it then.
No, go ahead.
Spit that out, man.
Spit that shit out, man.
I think this version of Batman and solely how he composes himself as Batman is my favorite version of Batman.
There we go.
Wow, I
There
just
we
said
go. He dropped it. I mean,
I think there are elements in the Batman movie that work better for the universe and the mythos of Batman, but how this version actually composes himself is my favorite way. There is just that calm, like silence that he is almost too bothered to talk. He saves his time and he is very intentional about what he wants to like say and reveal and how he does. He's got a little bit of wit to him. Like he is funny. He is quick to battle with like one-liners, but he doesn't make them over the top. And he's got that grin again that you just have the most faith in.
Again and again and again.
Oh, the
as
most
a character,
subtle Batman reference there. That was so good. That was so well executed.
But no, what
he
like
said
he
again
doesn't
was a
have to.
reference for those who don't know.
He doesn't have to like mask his voice the way the other ones do. He's just got this calm, cool composure that I appreciate the most. He is the Batman where the cape just kind of drapes over him and he's walking cool and collected. And I love how this version is done by Michael Keaton.
The version of this costume that we get to with
It's better than the first one.
It drapes over the shoulders though.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the way the cape drapes over the shoulders. So when he is like, which I think this is something that got lost in kind of the Nolan films. The point is he's supposed to kind of be menacing with it draping over, which Nolan obviously
But
wouldn't
those are
do
very different
because
movies,
it's
yeah.
about the technicality of it all.
Pause. Are you telling me Christian Bale's version of Batman is not menacing? Is that what you're saying? Yes or no?
Have you seen
I'm
Batman
gonna go on
Begins,
Corey's side
Cole?
really quick. I'm gonna go on Corey's side really quick because Corey needs a friend right now.
I feel like we're all friends, but
Right now this is Corey on the casting couch, and
mind-boggling.
all three of us are standing behind him, menacing with our takes. Okay, I'm gonna
Dear
just sit
God,
down gently
man.
next to Corey. I do think in Batman Begins, I'm gonna clarify. In Batman Begins, that movie plays up the Batman as a scary figure to the people more than any other Batman movie besides the Matt Reeves one. That one does it the best. That opening sequence of the Matt Reeves one, that does it the best actually, where Batman is supposed to be feared. And so like I will agree with Corey on that part. I think they kind of lose that a little bit in Dark Knight, and especially in Dark Knight Rises because he's kind of a broken Batman at that point. That's just part of the narrative.
One.
Yeah. That's
I don't know.
inherent
That
in the
rape
narrative.
scene is pretty scary in the train tunnel.
The what scene?
Where it's just flashing light.
The rave
that's not
scene.
what you
The
said.
rave scene.
Boy.
Okay, yeah, that
we
would have
are
been a really scary scene.
You know what? I think we just need to move on.
No. Oh, but I had such a point. Now I forgot it because of the way that threw me off so much.
You just had to defend Corey.
Give me a
and then
second
lead
before you
me
move
down
on,
that
Corey. We'll
trail.
cut this because I definitely I don't
Well-
move on to the last section yet. Well,
Let
unless
me
have
ask you
something to
though,
say,
like,
Sam.
well, I just follow up. Like, I will do the natural follow up question. If we're ranking Batman's and Batman performances as
Oh, sure.
Batman, not
I'll take your
actor
Batman ranking.
and the character, how the Batmans compose themselves.
Hmm.
We'll just narrow it down to that question.
As Batman,
How do you rank them?
As Batman or
Are
as
we
Bruce
go-
or both?
As Batman.
I'm kind of having a hard time conceptualizing this.
Because I mean,
What's the demeanor they carry? What's their outward persona to the people around them that they see as Batman, not as Bruce, as
and
Batman.
ranking our opinion on that, like who's our favorite portrayal of Batman.
Yes.
George
I
Clooney.
gotta
number
go
one,
with
hands down.
Keaton.
It's okay, Corey. Go ahead.
I'm
think
waiting for
I think Ben Affleck is
There are no wrong answers.
The voice
Ben
modulator
Affleck
with Ben Affleck throws me off
is
a
a.
bit.
Let me get this
The
straight.
thing is, I didn't like his
Cole.
Batman because he became like a quippy Marvel character at
Oh.
some point. I loved his Bruce
No.
Wayne. His Bruce Wayne was really good. And I think he does Bruce Wayne kind of
Just not
like
the
that
question.
scene at the party where he's in the basement and he's like, I like
Not
your
the- just so far away from
shoes.
the question right now.
But you did manage to
I
give a hot
was-
take with your answer. That was
Wait, I cannot believe that the question was, who was your favorite portrayal of Batman? And we get Michael Keaton as number 1, and then we get Ben Affleck as number 2, and then you immediately say how you didn't like Ben Affleck's
No,
portrayal
I
of Batman.
didn't say he was my number 2.
Well, that's the next one you said.
No, he
Who's
said
your
he
number
liked
2?
his Bruce Wayne. He doesn't like his Batman.
I think my favorite probably is Robert Pattinson. I think that's the most of how I see Batman as a character. I don't know if Michael Keaton's in my top 3. A lot of the time, Michael Keaton felt very goofy. And let me backtrack. I do not dislike how Michael Keaton is performs in these movies. I don't not like anything about him. I just don't think that he is portraying Batman as to what my expectations of Batman are. If he were another hero, I think he would have been it would have been great. He would have done, because there have been no expectations, and he takes it and he does a great job. That's just how I feel about it, because I think I think we've had the comparison between Robert Pattinson and Michael Keaton, and honestly, I don't see too many similarities between them at all.
Between Pattinson and Keaton?
I do not either. I
actually think
none.
they're the most similar out of... I think Pattinson's more similar to Keaton than any of the other Batmans.
I think, in terms of arc, he's more similar to Bale, but overall, it's kind of a mismatch of all of them. That's how I
was gonna say. I think he takes a lot of what's great about each
portrayal kind of goes. You learn from the last one. You do what you want to with the next one. I feel like with a character like Batman, or
it's our version of James Bond.
Yeah, or here's a better one: Spider-Man. We have gotten 3 actors in the span of 25 years. You got Toby, who was the great Peter Parker, but the crock was he didn't quip enough as Spider-Man. Then you got Andrew, who was too cool for school as Peter Parker and was kind of the perfect Spider-Man. Then you got Tom Holland, who's the mishmash of the two.
And isn't really great in either, but does both of them very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corey hates Tom Holland. You heard it here.
Corey, I
just can't believe that you're thinking Christopher Nolan's Batman just wasn't scary at all. When the first movie that we had with him, he has bugs coming out of his mouth at one point because it's emphasizing the scariness.
It's more ooze.
I understand, but it's it's whatever.
I get what you're saying, Corey. I was on your side with that. I know.
I'm not saying whatever to you. I'm saying whatever to the situation because it's just insane to me. I don't know what I'm missing. I honestly feel like I'm kind of missing out on the whole Keaton Batman thing because I appreciate these movies and I like this movie. I think more than the first one.
Originally watched them though.
I don't remember.
No. Cole. You're not going to win it going down that route. You're not going to go winning down.
It was a rainy day in second grade. I ordered a grilled cheese for lunch, and I think my best friend, he told me how
he's
he was
making
like,
fun
this
of
is
how
my
we used to say
favorite
exactly
movie.
what time of day we used to watch movies because I just re-listened to that old Scream episode or Scream 2. I believe
Zach,
it was.
I remember it because your dad told me that it was 3:00. That's what your dad told me.
Right?
That's how I knew
exactly.
It was 3:00 on a Friday.
I literally just re-listened to an old one of our episodes where Corey's making fun of how specific Cole got with when we watched a certain movie. And I know exactly what he's doing.
Sorry, I'm lashing out right now. I'm kind of frustrated.
It's okay.
I don't know why. I don't know what I'm frustrated about.
Okay. I see your points. It's all good.
On
yeah, there we go. So do we
the
want
awards
to move
season.
Apparently they strayed off course, and we're fairly certain they're in guerrilla hands.
So why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
What I would give to move on. Sam, you are a guest. I would love to hear who your MVP was. The board is wide open. You could pick anyone and everyone.
Oh boy. This is honestly one of those where I could have gone last and felt confident in my choice.
Yeah.
I was planning on giving it to Christopher Walken, but since we didn't really talk much about him, I am giving it to Danny Elfman. I think this is him at his absolute best. And I know Zach probably will. And I don't know if you were planning to talk about it or pose the question as to how it ranks, but I think we've discussed it a little already. It is, at its most complete, I think, my second favorite Danny Elfman score, and it is better than the first one. Well, it's probably my.
I'll take that.
Well, see,
I'll take the bait. What's your third favorite?
Third favorite's Batman '89. Okay. But I think as a whole movie, it is better than the first one. It still utilizes the main theme, again, with more confidence, but there are just some beautifully haunting cues that it uses, like especially the scene in the cemetery. I kind of go to that one a lot, where it just takes you on that roller coaster, and I think he's fantastic in this.
There's a sadness in Selina's transformation track as well. I
And
was
a
listening to that
quirky
whole
playfulness from like the circus cues are woven in so well. Yeah. First favorite would be Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, I was gonna say
Let me
Nightmare
rephrase.
Before Christmas.
Favorite as a marriage between Burton and him. For
okay. So
yeah,
it's Nightmare Before...
I separate those just because that's a musical.
Fair enough. Yeah, I still think. Yeah. All right. Whatever. Fair enough. I did text that to Sam today. Full disclosure, like this might be my favorite Elfman score from front to back. But yeah, maybe Nightmare Before Christmas is a different category there. Do I go now? Corey goes now.
It looks like I'm up. I'm gonna pick Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer is absolutely incredible in this movie. She is one of definitely my favorite part of the storyline of this movie and the way she portrays it. We talked about how sometimes haunting her performances are, and how she the conflict in her is very prevalent, and you could see that, and her fighting that. I think she does a really great job. I wish we would have gotten a Catwoman movie with her, because honestly, when I was watching this at the very end, I thought, you know what? If they push like the other characters kind of further to the side and just focus on her, I think this would still be a very like attention grabbing movie. I would have still had the same amount of interest in it, and it would have still been just as enjoyable. So Michelle Pfeiffer is by far my MVP.
Mine is Danny Boy. Danny DeVito is by far and away probably my favorite part of this movie. He brings a grotesqueness to this character that's just gross, but it's so fun to watch. When he's gross, he's incredibly detestable, but when he's sad, and he is incredibly sad, this movie in general is sad, and he is probably the saddest part of it, you also kind of feel bad for him. And you can't say that about a lot of guys, but he gets worse and worse throughout the movie, but there's still this sadness to him where you almost can't help but feel bad for what he's going through. And I think an actor of Danny DeVito's caliber is able to portray that incredibly well. I don't know if we would have gotten even close to Colin Farrell's performance of like this sadness that the Penguin gives off without this portrayal from Danny DeVito. Not saying they're comparable, but there's a sadness that he gives the character. Yeah, but you just can't. He is so great in this movie, and I think this movie is a lot different if you don't have someone like Danny DeVito playing the character.
On to the review section. I forgot it for a second.
My MVP is Tim Burton. I think for like we've been saying, like this Gotham that he's created, the way that like we talked about that he's like kind of the perfect marriage to like the source material here with the character, and just the otherworldly or the outsiderness of these different characters. But like I think this Gotham looks better than the last one. I think they make excellent use of studio space here. You know, like we talk about the importance of shooting on location for certain movies. This is not that. There is no Gotham to shoot on location for. And they make the best use of shooting in a studio with like really, really purposeful set design and lighting. Like, to prove my point, there's like one scene where like Max Schreck is trying to get away from the carnival folk at the beginning, and there's a random like alleyway that he's in for like 10 seconds, and like in the foreground of it on the left side of the screen there's like an Ozymandias statuesque like just face there that's like decrepit looking.
On to the reviews section.
Says that they insist on outside opinions.
What kind of opinions?
Well, your kind, not to put too fine a point on it. I mean, let's face it, in your particular field, you're the top minds.
Cole, what were you rating this movie out of 5.
Do a hit Batman film? Well, you get a sexy villain, a gross villain, and a Christopher Walken villain. Then you lower the Batman screen time so much you may not even consider it his movie. But guess what? It still works. 4.35 out of 5.
4.35 out of 5.
Gave the first one a 4.25, but I had to.
So this one is better than the first one. Okay.
Slightly.
Zach, what are you giving this movie out of 5?
I'm texting you your line, okay?
Oh God, I hate these.
All right, Corey, I'm about to text you your line, but
Zach.
for real this time, okay?
First time was just a drill. It was a joke.
All right, Corey.
Can I look at it?
In this scenario, this is Corey having been bullied for his opinions about this movie, okay? And then the Corey delivers this line.
Okay. Go ahead. Intimidate me. Bully me if it makes you feel big. I mean, it's not like you can just give this movie over 4.5 stars.
4.75 out of 5.
Sam, why don't you go ahead, please?
Okay. My review, Corey is wrong.
Ah.
Okay, I'm joking. My review.
Didn't even prompt that one.
All right, you ready? I grew up loving this movie, but in recent years have only come to appreciate it more and more. It manages to make me not
Play the
even
sound.
bat an eye as roller ducks and rocket
wow.
armed penguins are utilized by a supervillain with a flying umbrella copter. It's bizarre, grotesque, horny, and oh so much fun. Don't overthink it. Sit back and enjoy. 5 out of 5.
Whoa! Play the sounder.
Play the sounder.
That's beautiful.
5 stars, Angel. 5 stars.
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
All right.
God damn, Jimmy.
That was bloody brilliant.
This some serious gourmet shit.
That was totally wicked.
This is incredible. You like it? Oh, that's such a relief.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
It's a 2, isn't it?
After what seems like just one long and turbulent night of terror in Gotham, the Batman comes to save the day and poured cold water all over the ever weird and turned on villain that the city has suffered from and validated arousal over. Billionaire funding campaigns, clowns in the street, and skin-tight suits on barely alive women. Everything a boy could hope for, if only the ending was more captivating. 4 out of 5.
Did not see it coming.
On to the post-credit scene.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.
But we will be covering Scream 7 coming up next. So,
has been watching anything?
Nope. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Cole. Have you've been watching that one?
Yeah. I've been keeping up.
It's great. I'm a big,
Sam,
big
you're
old
into
fan.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am too. Trying to get Zach into it, but he's got to watch Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie.
And my exact words to Corey were, "This is why I loved Game of Thrones." And Corey responded that like he's excited for Sunday nights again, like the way we used to get excited for new episodes of Thrones.
Sunday nights and Thursday nights, because The Pit is on Thursday nights, and I am really enjoying.
What
The
about
Pit.
Wednesdays? Shrinking.
Yeah, I kind of just watch that when I can. But I did watch Shrinking. But I'm not like, oh, it's Wednesday night, gotta watch Shrinking. I will tell you though.
Oh,
Cole,
I am. I love Shrinking.
It's just not something like, oh my gosh, it's Wednesday night. I kind of
Okay, fair enough.
It's
fair
like
enough.
it's like usually Saturdays or Sundays when I have time. I'm like, let's see. Oh, watch my new shows that are out. But Cole, because of Shrinking, he got a book that I actually think you would really like. So next time I'm in town, I'm gonna drop it off to you because I'm about to be done with it. Michael J. Fox wrote an autobiography about his time doing Family Ties and Back to the Future and like that entire time period of his life. And it's really well done. I think you would actually enjoy it. So, I know
heard
how
it
you
was brutal for him
during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seems
but
like-
it sounds like he did not get anything else to do besides those two shows. But But hearing him talk about it, like, I don't know why, and maybe this is just me, but I'm reading it in his voice, and so that's kind of fun too. It feels like I'm listening or doing a documentary almost that he's narrating about his life. So, but it's really good. I think you would like it because it gives a lot of that like behind the scenes stuff that you always talk about, not just with Back to the Future, but with all movies. And so I think it'd be right up your alley. It's called Future Boy.
Future.
I saw that you were reading that. I saw your Goodreads update on that. That was very interesting to me. Very pleasant.
I'm almost done with it.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Well, I finished Wuthering Heights book right before the movie.
Do you have anything else?
I was just gonna say it's not quite the book, but that's okay. It's its own thing, and it's a lot of fun. But the book is also really good. So check out both.
Well, from ours to yours, thank you again for listening, and thank you again for watching. However you chose to partake in this media today, Sam. Thank you again. Do you know how many of the episodes this is that you've been on?
I think this might be number 8.
I think, yeah. I mean, Cole, you were way off. He is
4 or 5. Damn.
No, he's getting close to double digits. He's becoming a regular, and at this point, he was the third co-host on this episode. The way things are turning out here at the very end. So, Sam, thank you again. It's always a pleasure having you on because you know what, you challenged me in a way that these guys have just come to. They like whatever, and you know. They'll sit back and let me spew my takes, and then they'll say, I guess, and I can figure out how to get them down, but I have not figured out how to beat you down yet, and I will. As long as you keep coming on and keep giving your takes and keep talking about movies with us.
If you beat me, I will keep coming. Okay.
Okay, that's good. Well, again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and until next time, just keep watching movies, and remember, Scream 7's up next. Go see it in theaters.
Peace
See
out.
ya.